ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It is your boy Ernie the Blerd Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel. There was a discourse that got started over the past week because of the one-shot X-Men Hellfire Vigil #1. This was supposed to be a replacement for the Hellfire Gala that was usually done about roughly around this time, usually during the summer of every year, where the Krakoa era X-Men, the whole Krakoa House of X era was a thing. And now that is no longer a thing. It's been put to bed. We're in the From the Ashes era. We're actually well on our way to the Age of Revelation, and we're basically having this vigil as a bit of a memorial for the Krakoan era. And one of the things that came up was that Storm is going to have a baby, and the reveal of who the father was going to be was never brought into the conversation. I mean, yes, from a reader perspective, but there was really nothing in the issue itself that told us 100% who the Pappy is.
I'm the Pappy.
Yes, we know, Bernie, we know. But no, we basically got some teases, some hints. There were some things that were said by Storm's future daughter, Faraha. All we know is that Faraha is going to be a young girl who has both the abilities of her father, whoever that is, and her mother. Whatever those powers are, they're, as far as like the father side of it is concerned, it's never really explicitly stated. All that is said is that she has fangs and black hair like her father. That's the only thing we get. I've got my cards here. I actually took the time to go through our chat this past week on the Blerd Cave, which, by the way, live streams every Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. But I took 14 names that y'all suggested and some that were already there because I put them there. So basically, I'll give you the rundown. The hopefuls for this, we're looking at Black Panther, Wolverine, Blade, Nightcrawler, Miles Morales, Namor, Anansi, Sabretooth, Hadad, Death, Gentle, and Forge. I'm going to go through each and every one of these names, and we are going to answer a question about Faraha that I think is on the lips and hearts and minds of every X-fan right now.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I set up a tier maker. We are going to put each of these characters where I think they make the most sense. So, like I said, we're going to have categories ranking all the way from Goddess No, he was in there, but was he in there? They kind of favor, he might have to claim her, and you are the father. Those are the categories I've come up with. I want to go ahead and get a couple of ones out of the way. Let's just go ahead and start with, let's go with Anansi. We're gonna go with Anansi, actually. Yeah, we're gonna take Anansi first. You know what? I know some people probably said this in jest, but I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Yeah, I don't think it's Anansi, and I'm gonna tell you why. As a matter of fact, we're gonna be eliminating some of these people, like, off top. Like, here, we're just gonna put Anansi right where he belongs, just right there. He's going in the Goddess No category, because, well, for one, we haven't seen Anansi interact with Storm on any meaningful level yet. And that's kind of one of my criteria for a lot of these characters, is that have they interacted with Storm on any meaningful level, either recently or at any point in the past. And it's not to say that Storm and Anansi don't know each other or aren't aware of each other, but I mean, I feel like, Anansi, while he may meet the hair category, one thing we have to take into consideration is he doesn't have fangs. So he is automatically dismissed. So Goddess No, he was nowhere near them cheeks. I mean, yeah, I'm just putting that out there. I want to go ahead and get another one. These are going to be easy claps. Namor. We're also going to put Namor in the Goddess No category. Or you know what? Is it Namor or is it Namur? I'm not gonna lie, I think I've said this before, but I actually prefer Namor because it makes more sense than Namor. Namor sounds gross. Anyway, he got other shit to worry about. He's running around with the new Avengers. I don't think he's got time to be trying to clap Storm's cheeks, and honestly, I don't know if Storm would even be interested. Another character I saw people bring up too, man, look, I love Nightcrawler as much as the next guy, but he goes in the Goddess No category. And here's the thing, he actually does kind of slick fit some of the bill. The reason why I say that is because he has fangs. Nightcrawler is almost always depicted with fangs. His hair, however, is technically not black. It's blue-black, but it's not like black-black. So that's another reason why I'm like, yeah, no. Dismissed. Absolutely dismissed. And let's go ahead and get a couple of other obvious ones out of the way. I'm gonna put Craig down, but I'm not gonna put him down in the Goddess No. I'm gonna put him in, he was in there, but was he in there? And I say that because technically, him and Storm were clapping cheeks. Craig of NASA, who Storm met during the Krakoan era, yeah, they were getting it on. We have literally seen where they have been sleeping together. Well, all that's well and good, that's all fine and dandy, but she dumped Craig when she moved on from the Krakoan era. When she moved to Atlanta, got the sanctuary, that was a wrap. Now, I do have it on good authority from the writer of the current Storm series, Marewa Ayodele, that we are going to see Craig again. It just might not be under the same circumstances people might expect. But now, another thing to consider is that Craig is a normal human. He has black hair, but he does not have fangs. He is a regular ass human. He is Craig of NASA and nothing else. So unless Marewa pulls some, straight out of his ass bullshit with Craig, and suddenly Craig is super powered or has fangs, I'm not gonna lie, I love Marewa to death, but he knows I would call bullshit to his face. He knows. So no, I'm gonna say no to Craig of NASA. Gonna say no. Now, another character, and man, I'm not gonna lie, man, some of these that y'all were giving me, I'm not gonna hold y'all. I got questions about a lot of y'all. Miles Morales. Miles Morales? Is Storm robbing the cradle? What is going on? Is Storm robbing the cradle? Is Storm that desperate for cheeks she's got to rob the cradle? I don't know about some of y'all, man. I don't know. I know why some of y'all were probably thinking this. You were probably thinking well, technically, they had this whole thing, the Blood Hunt, where Miles Morales had to figure out his new status quo because he got turned into a vampire. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. Well, yes, I see where some of y'all are, where some of your heads are at. Oh, Miles Morales, he's got black hair and he has vampire fangs. Here's where I'm gonna stop y'all. Miles Morales no longer is a vampire. He's not a vampire anymore. That shit got deaded several issues ago in the Miles Morales Spider-Man series, which is telling me some of y'all aren't reading that book. So yeah, no. Not only that, he is way too damn young. That boy is still in high school. Can we try not to give Storm a stats charge? So he's going in the Goddess No category. And I'm gonna tell you who else I'm gonna put in there as well, and that's Gentle. Gentle, I'm sorry, he has to go in the Goddess No category, and it is largely because he's young. He's older than Miles. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like Storm looks at Gentle as more of a child. And when I say child, I mean a surrogate child. Not that oh, he's young, therefore he is child. I mean, Storm was one of the people who kind of acted as a motherly figure to him, during the, I guess kind of earlier parts of Storm and Black Panther's marriage to one another. So yeah, I gotta take Gentle. Also, he doesn't have fangs. That's another. Also, he does not have hair. And while I did not add this character on, and I think people were smart enough not to put this character on here, no one put Maggot. Or I think if someone did, it got quickly shut down because we gotta remember, Maggot not have black hair. His hair is white, regardless of what form he is in. So yeah, but yeah, Gentle, completely disqualified. This is another one that I feel like, some people went this direction, but I think people kind of forget where we're at, with Storm right now. I saw a lot of people talking about Forge. don't get me wrong, back in the 90s, in the 80s, yeah, Storm and Forge, yeah, they were clapping each other's cheeks wild crazy. I mean, I'm talking like they had a whole Thunder War throughout the 80s and the 90s up until Forge around and started messing around with Mystique. So that was the thing. But here's the thing. So here's what I'm doing. While I would have put him in Goddess No, where that I like to say Goddess No for people that like there's just no way. So I'm gonna put him in the he was in there, but was he in there? We're gonna put him in that category. He's not really in there. Now, here's another one, and I know some people are probably going to get a little salty with me about this, because this is the one who I think people want it to be, but I don't think it's going to be the case. And while I could just as easily put Black Panther in the he was in there, but was he in there, I'm going to put him in the they kind of favor category. And the only reason he's even getting that high is because they have recently reconciled, but I don't think they've reconciled in a way that is indicative of them like, oh, okay, so we clap cheeks again. No, I don't know if that's quite the case. For those who have not read the most recent issue of Avengers that came out this past week, Avengers number 28, at the end of the issue, Storm and T'Challa, they make up. It really wasn't on Storm's part, it was really more on T'Challa's part. He just was not hanging around very much and was kind of, when he was, being very distant to Storm because they had broken up during the jump. I guess, and I would forgive anyone for not knowing this, but during the Reggie Hudlin era, Black Panther, a lot of y'all probably remember, Storm and Black Panther were wed, they were married, but kind of over the course of AVX, Avengers vs. X-Men, that relationship fell smooth the part. Because, you know, one sides with the Avengers, and other sides with the X-Men. You know how that goes. That was kind of what was happening there with that. And during the Ta-Nehisi Coates run, Storm and Black Panther got back together. And then for whatever reason, during the John Ridley run, John Ridley was like, no, I want to do a deconstructionist version of Black Panther. I'm going to take away everything. I'm going to take away all his toys. And basically, he put T'Challa in a story arc where T'Challa basically alienated everybody, Storm included. So by the time he got to the end of that series, or kind of close to the end of that series, Storm had left. T'Challa and was basically like, yeah, I'm out of here, peace. I don't want anything else to do with you. You're done. She's like, you're done? You're done. And then when you get over, you know, to now, you know, like I said, they're still broken up. And yeah, things are interesting. Things are very interesting. I'll just say this. I don't think it's T'Challa. I don't think it's T'Challa at all. I know people want that. And while I would be okay with it, I mean, I'm one of those people that whether or not I want Storm and Black Panther to be together kind of waxes and wanes with the phases of the moon. It's practically like Moon Knight rules. But for me personally, I just don't see it. You know what I mean? I just don't see it. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. Black Panther, yeah, I'm gonna say they kind of favor because Black Panther does technically sometimes have fangs, like, because of the heart-shaped herb and the whole, like, Panther God, you know, thing, you know, with Bast, you know, being her avatar, technically, there are often times where he is depicted with fangs, and there have been multiple story arcs where it was revealed that he potentially does have children in the future with Storm, but all of those instances are alternate story arcs that I feel like get lost in the sauce a lot of the time. So it's difficult to say whether there is any validity you know, to any of it. So I'll just put it like this. For all intents and purposes, I think that while yes, he fits the black hair and maybe possibly Fang's portion of the conversation, I'm not really gonna just go all in and say, yeah, this is totally happening just because of that. There's other factors that play into it. But if he did turn out to be the father, I wouldn't be messed up about it. I would probably just be like, okay. And before anyone asks, well, what about Chimera? Well, Chimera was too from an alternate reality, and more importantly, she does not have black hair. So let's get that out of the way. The next one I want to take a look at, and you know, since we're talking about Black Panther, let's talk about another character that I saw someone put on the list who And I kind of forgot about him just because of how ridiculous. You probably can't see it, but I got my mouse hovering over Sabretooth. Sabretooth, he goes down here and Goddess No. he goes down here in the Goddess No category because he doesn't have black hair. Sabretooth is blonde. He has fangs, but he's blonde. Also, Storm is not letting him clap them cheeks, not on purpose. No, that's not happening. I think we can go ahead and write Brother Man off. So that brings us down to, let's see, I want to get another one out of the way as well. And this one might shock some people because of where I'm going to put this guy. And that is the new character that's on the horizon, Hadad. So basically, for those that don't know, he is the Mesopotamian god of thunder who is on his way to do battle with Storm in the Thunder War. And he is also the one who has already taken out Oblivion, completely retired Oblivion's jersey before Storm could even get there and have her brawl for it all with, you know, the living embodiment of the end of all things. And, well, the only reason why I actually even entertain the idea of putting him on the list is because there is precedent for Storm having relations with people whom she is opposed to. Now, I know what you're saying. Wait, you didn't keep that same energy for Sabretooth. Well, that's because, well, duh, it's Sabretooth. But no, I largely say all this because I remember the Chris Claremont Extreme X-Men series where Storm was facing off against an alien invasion, and kind of in the middle of all that, they kind of wound up. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know. I don't know. Some of y'all don't know, but you know. I know you know. No, so yeah, there is the possibility that her and Hadad could meet, and everything is wine and roses. And maybe they do fight each other hardcore at first, but something happens that maybe, I don't know, makes Hadad change his mind, and maybe there is some level of interest between the two of them. Because I will say this, Storm is not above getting turned on by people who she is on the opposite side of. That does happen. I mean, look no further than Forge. Forge literally is responsible for her being depowered. There's another character that come up here a little bit later that we're going to talk about, but yeah, I'm just saying that there's characters that she has been on the opposite side of, that she has totally thrown herself into relationships with, even when she probably shouldn't have. The alien guy I mentioned earlier, whose name escapes me. But yeah, there was all sorts of things. And you can make your arguments about whether or not these things were genuine, or if there was, you know, some level of deception that was employed. That part I don't really care about, because at the end of the day, it's still, it doesn't change my energy about the answer, okay? I love Storm to death, but sometimes she makes bizarre choices in her relationships. It's largely why I actually would be perfectly fine if Storm never had any, like, steady love interest. Like, if she just went day by day, just getting her cheeks clapped by someone here, someone there, it would not faze me at all. That said, I'm gonna put Hadad not in the Goddess No, and I'm not in, obviously, because they haven't done anything yet. I'm gonna put him in the kind of favor, also for the reason that their hair is very similar. The hair that Faraha has looks a lot like Hadad's. Now, to be fair, another reason I also say is because he's a thunder god, and when she's showcasing that she has the power, that she has, you know, the power of her mother, and, you know, and so on and so forth, and even kind of implying that she has both her parents' abilities, but she kind of more points at the fangs. I don't think we've gotten a really clear look at, Hadad's teeth. So I don't really, that's the only reason why I think he is even kind of sort of in contention here. We have not seen Hadad's mouth open enough. We haven't seen enough of him to see his mouth open and be like, oh, he has fangs. Pretty much every instance of him that we have seen, his mouth is closed. So I'm leaving that open for debate. But if he opens his mouth and that motherfucker ain't got no fangs, he's written off. But we're gonna put him in the they kind of favor. Now that brings us to the final four. man, the final four. These are the ones who I think, and I want to make it clear, I say these guys for last for a very good reason. These are the characters I actually personally think not only were they suggested by you, but they were characters I was already thinking about. I want to tackle the one character who I think is the most possible of the final four, but I know for a fact probably is not it. And that is going to be Dr. Voodoo. Dr. Voodoo, now, depending on some artistic license, there have been instances where Dr. Voodoo has been depicted as having fangs, but it's not really something that he's known for having. It's something that only comes up like ever so often. Once again, I say this with my whole chest. I think it actually just comes down more to artistic license than it does anything else. But I'm gonna say for him, well, I think they kind of favor, I think he's more possible than not. I don't think it's a situation where he and Storm would never hook up. And because they have not ever hooked up to my understanding, I'm not putting him in the, he was in there, but was he in there category. So I'm gonna put them in the they kind of favor category. So this is where I think Dr. Voodoo firmly rests. And I will also say too, another reason why I would be willing to give him the grace is because while yes, he does fit the black hair category, even though he has a white streak, but the thing is, the white streak is not natural. It is a direct result of his becoming the Ungen Supreme. That's why his hair is white. Where everyone I think is probably gonna fall apart on this one is because of the fang thing. And once again, until we actually see Dr. Voodoo depicted with fangs with any regularity, it's kind of difficult for me to justify putting him any higher than this. So yeah, we'll have to just go with that. Now we're down to the last three, the holy trinity of possibles. And I'm gonna tell you, man, one of these characters I think is way more likely than the other. Now, one of those characters is Wolverine. I actually said when the news was initially put out, I actually just assumed it was Wolverine because they had been clapping cheeks. We literally saw just a few issues ago that Storm and Wolverine were hooking up. Storm was even talking about she kind of possibly regretted it. But when the idea of her being pregnant came up, she actually got really happy until she took the test and realized that she wasn't. And then she got sad. So part of me wonders, like, if Wolverine could still be in contention here. If he's still in contention, I think we got a ball game. But here's the thing, I don't think he is definitively the father. I will say though, Wolverine has fangs, so they do kind of favor. Her hair, Faraha's hair, is a little wild when we first see her. Now granted, that's just how, a black girl's hair is gonna be. My child, their hair was no different than Faraha's, for a long time, until they recently cut it. And got it more stylized, but like for the most part, they walked around with their hair kind of wild and out there and just wore it natural, so that could be a thing too. So I don't want anyone to think I'm trying to like hair shame or anything like that. But I don't want to put him in the you are the father category because Morewa kind of hinted that it isn't Wolverine. He didn't say it definitively, but he did kind of like imply that that wasn't the case. Because once again, Morewa didn't actually say that he wasn't. He just basically said they haven't decided yet. That was basically what he kind of broke it down to. So I'm going to put Wolverine in the he might have to claim her. He might have to claim her because based on how Storm responded to the idea that she could potentially have been pregnant by Wolverine, I feel like he is probably the most likely of people. Now, based on some things I'm going to talk about here, the next two characters I'm going to bring up, I'm probably going to change my stance on that. I'm actually probably going to change my stance on a couple of characters. But before we do that, I do want to address the pick that a lot of people had, myself included, when it became likely that Wolverine was not the pappy. Because let's be real, this is the easiest layup in the history of layups. Character with black hair and fangs, very likely a black person or person of color. I would say Blade. And matter of fact, I don't know if I would put Blade in You Are the Father, or if I would put him in He Might Have to Claim Her. And the reason why I'm kind of wishy-washy on this is because, for one, Blade has not factored into Storm's story any at all whatsoever. None at all whatsoever in quite some time. They do not hang out with each other. That's why I'm kind of like, maybe. But the thing is, this is a future storyline, so Blade could eventually show up at some point. Is kind of where I'm kind of going with this. Right now, as it stands, the people who I have listed in the they kind of favor section, these are all characters who have been a part of Storm's life over the past several issues of either her book or the Avengers series or somewhere else. Blade, to my understanding, and maybe somebody can correct me on this, because I have not been reading the most recent Blade series. The Red Band, it just wasn't hidden. It wasn't hidden for me. I'm still sore from Blood Hunt, honestly. I'm still sore from Blade losing all of his autonomy in Blood Hunt, that it made it very difficult for me to go back and see Brian Edward Hill try to clean up that bullshit story arc that somebody else wrote. About Blade. The Jetpack K run. I was like, look, man, I love you to death, Brian, but yeah, I
can't get jiggy with this shit.
It's not one little bit. But no, Blade, man, that's a tough one. I think I'm gonna put Blade in You Are the Father. I think I'm gonna put him in You Are the Father, because like I said, he's the character that makes the most sense to me. And I will say this too, based on some things I said earlier, I kind of want to take Black Panther and move him up here too. Like I said, I think he actually is closer than not being the father. Like, I could just as easily put him down here, but I could also just as easily put him, like in one of these couple of spots. Like, because honestly, the descriptors are just all there. Now, another character, this is Dark Horse pick, and I actually want to give, a little bit of this more weight than not. Another character who could potentially be involved in the running for Storm's affections and therefore be the person who she ultimately winds up being with could potentially be Death. Now, I would forgive people for not remembering this, but Death and Storm had a little bit of a thing during the Krakoan era. And I know Moreira is a little sweet on the Krakoan era. He's a little sweet on it, so he might go back to this, considering that he already kind of mentioned that Craig was going to come back into the conversation here before too long, and I think I know why now, because of the whole pregnancy thing. But no, Death, I think, is a likely candidate. He has a prior relationship with Storm that makes sense, that could be called back to. He did not just only approach Storm during the Ten of Swords event, but he also came back later during the latter issues, like almost like pretty much the final story arc of X-Men Red. He stood by Storm's side in her civil war against Genesis, the wife of Apocalypse. Now, one thing that could be a disqualifying factor is that we've never actually seen Death's face. He keeps the Anubis helmet on at all times unless he's wielding his power, and his power is so potent, like he cannot control it, but his power is so potent that just removing the helmet, his eyes just automatically unleash a gaze that can cause death. He's basically a almost Cyclops-like character. The fact that he has to wear that helmet, because the only time we see him use his powers when the helmet's not on. Once again, whether he has fangs is another story altogether, because once again, he always has his helmet on, so we don't really know. Considering he spent some time in Sevalith, the realm of the vampires, I don't think he was ever actually turned, despite the fact he got bitten a lot. At the end of not the end of Ten of Swords, but the end of his confrontation with Storm during Ten of Swords. But I mean, we've also seen him walking around in daylight before Blood Hunt, before those events, where vampirism was no longer carried the weight of having to have the weakness of sunlight. So, once again, that's debatable, but I'm gonna say, of the people who are most likely, I honestly think I would put Death right up there. I actually would almost be willing to put Blade down here in the he might have to claim her, but and the thing with Blade is that he technically already has a kid, and I feel like if he actually was to turn out to be the father of Storm's child, Faraha, I feel like it would, I don't think it should cause a problem, but it would be weird that, well, he just found out he had one child, or technically he always knew he had a child, but he just was never in her life very much. But like, I don't know, there's some very interesting storytelling you could pull from that. And then also, because like when you look at the fact that, Blade and Wolverine are both already, characters who are parents, it can make things interesting for them to have more children. Wolverine has plenty, and honestly, I think that's kind of why I don't want it to be Wolverine. Like, actually, if for me, personally, I would actually like to say he was in there, but was he in there? We're going to move Wolverine down to here. Yeah, I think we're going to move Wolverine down. Yeah, we're going to move him down there. And we're going to leave Blade in that he might have to claim her. Maybe kind of. The more I think about it, I kind of almost want to take... I actually kind of honestly want to take Haddad and move him down there. But once again, just knowing Storm's history, you never know. But yeah, I'm going to say it's going to come down to being between Black Panther and Death. That's my final answer. Thank you all for providing all these awesome suggestions and even some of the questionable ones. And yeah, you guys tell me who you think is going to be the father of Storm's child. Who do you think is the most likely candidate? And if there was a candidate I didn't put up here that you think is more likely, you tell me who it is in the comments. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Keep it plus ultra until then. Peace.